Hey, what's up guys, Master Zerds here. Today I will be showing you how to make a pet for our game Project Minigames. So I know a lot of you guys have been submitting pets lately, and we appreciate all the help and effort that our community has been giving us in submitting pets. But we are trying to make the process a little bit faster. So if you see here in Workspace, I have the pet example model. The link to the model will be in the form submission, the Google form submission, and the link to that form submission will be in the Exert Studios community Discord. You can find it there. So first things, we're gonna ungroup pet example. So I'll do that again. All you have to do is right click and ungroup, or you can press Control U. So we're gonna ungroup that model. So if you see here, we have the dummy, which is what we're going to use to see the proportion between the pet and the player, so we know how big that pet is. We have the center part, which is inside of the player. We have ignore green screen. This is just a green screen that will be behind the pet so that we can easily take a screenshot of the pet and upload it as a decal on Roblox, so that in store you'll see that picture there. And then part, this is just an example part that I put in the model. It basically will essentially be your pet. Okay, so let's get started. So first things first, we have our part. I'm gonna use a part as my example pet. I'm just going to clone it. I'm just gonna make a simple pet here for you guys real quick. Okay, let's just make this weird square with like a unicorn horn. Does that work? Alright, we're just gonna make that as our first pet. Okay, so now we have our pet. So what we're gonna do is we're going to group it, and we're gonna name it pet and then something. It really doesn't matter what you name it, just as long as, you know, just name it something, whatever you want. Before we do anything else, you're going to want to go in, select children. We're going to want to make all the parts within the pet. We're going to want to turn anchored. We want to make sure that's true, so which means there's a checkbox showing there. We want to make sure there's a checkbox there. Cancollide. We want to make sure that this is false, or there's no check there. So let's uncheck that. This way the pet will be able to go through things and won't get in the way of stuff like the camera, stuff like that. And we want to make sure it's anchored because we don't want the pet to just fall, right? So next thing we are going to want to do is we're going to want to resize the pet to make sure that's proportionate to the player. So right now the pet's defined size just because I started off with a square, but usually I know a lot of people like to build their pets really big so that they can resize it down smaller. It's just easier to work with that. I like to use a plugin called Model Resize, and I just use this plugin. Make stuff bigger, make stuff smaller, stuff like that. So you're gonna want to resize your pet to look kind of like, to make it sure it's the right size proportion to the player. We don't want too big of pets, too small of pets. Next thing we want to do is we want to position the pet where we want it. So there's two positions that we use in game. We have the floating position, like it is right now, where it floats behind the player, and usually it will be to the left of the player like this, or we have the one where it drags on the ground like a dog, a penguin, you know, stuff that like walks on the ground. So you want to position your pet to be either on the ground like this or up and floating, depending on what kind of pet it is. You know, use reasonable sense, but it's up to you where you want the pet to be. Let's see. Next, we're gonna want to take the center part. So during this whole entire process of making your pet, you shouldn't even touch the center part. Don't move it. Don't do anything with it. Keep it where it is inside of that player. Next, we're going to take the center part and we're going to drag it and put it inside of the pet, so that the center part is inside of the model of the pet. Now, the reason we do this is because we want how we do pets is we find the distance or the position between the center part and the pet, so we know where it is based on the player. So make sure that center part does not move. It stays right where it is inside that player, but make sure that it is inside the pet model, if that makes any sense. That should be about it for making a pet. If you want, you can make this transparency 1 for the green screen, just in case it might, like, you know, you might get distracted or it might get in your way. But make sure that when you upload the pet to the forum that you can turn it back on. That would be very helpful. And that should be the end of this tutorial. Thank you guys all for all of your community submissions. We love you guys and hope you have a good day. Thanks.